This week, the Supreme Court ruled that Muslim men detained after the September 11th attacks cannot sue U.S. law enforcement officials in the George W. Bush administration. It was a 4-2 decision that has many wondering if we have the right balance between security and civil rights. Let's talk about this and much more with longtime Washington, D.C. and Republican Party insider, former Congressman Chris Shays of Connecticut. He served as ranking member of the National Security and Foreign Affairs subcommittees and on the House Homeland Security Committee. He joins me from our nation's capital. Welcome, Congressman. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Nice to be with you.
So let me pose that question to you. As a former congressperson sitting on those committees, do you believe that we are striking the right balance between security and civil rights?
Well, I think we have to be conscious of the balance, but let's just remember we had 3 airplanes that had passengers in it used as missiles to attack the United States, brought down 6 buildings in New York City. It was a crime that was committed that we could have. It was a terrorist act that was committed that we could have prevented had we done a better job in keeping track of potential terrorists. And what the Patriot Act does and what other acts do is to try to bring a balance. Let's remember, these individuals, by the way, were not American citizens, and I believe most, if not all, were here illegally.
Yes, they were actually eventually deported on immigration violations. You bring up the Patriot Act. Of course, there's a lot of debate about it, particularly when it comes to NSA surveillance. Do you think that the NSA surveillance is appropriate or too pervasive?
Well, NSA surveillance is a little different than Patriot Act. The NSA surveillance is trying to take public information, collect it in a way, and combine it to see if there's threads that would have us look at certain people, and then, if we think that they are suspicious, use the Patriot Act in that case, go to a FISA court, under oath, presenting information of why you need to have surveillance on these individuals. Had we done that before, 9/11 never should have happened. It never should have happened.
Shifting gears just a little bit with you, Congressman, let's talk about what's going on in Washington, D.C., where you are. And we know that you voted for Hillary Clinton. You are not a supporter of President Trump. Since he's become president, of course, his presidency has been engulfed in controversy. It seems every single day something new comes out. Is there anything about President Trump that has surprised you positively?
Well, first off, he's clueless about how government works, and yet he boasted that he would be able to get a good handle on it. He's clueless about his responsibilities and the responsibilities of Congress, and he continually says things that are not truthful, that can be documented by just showing what he just said the day before, going back to the transcript or the media. So are there things that I like about him? I want to deal with regulations, and I think he has to. We have inane regulations. We need to have less regulations, and we need them to be more purposeful. So that's one area.
Well, he did issue an executive order requiring that 2 regulations be wiped off the books for every one that's proposed. Do you think that that was a good move on his part?
Yeah, I do think it was a good move. Now, let's just see what are the ones that are wiped off and what are the ones that are left standing. I mean, we have regulations governing ethics. I don't want to see those go away. I'd like him to be an ethical president and understand why you need ethics in government.
So, you know, his ethics, of course, have been under attack, and particularly from Democrats on Capitol Hill, and a number of them are looking to try to introduce, a bill of impeachment and an impeachment indictment. What do you think about that effort? I mean, we're less than 6 months into this presidency.
Well, I think that's misguided. Impeachment means that you have reason to believe that you need to take a duly elected president and hold a hearing and then remove him from office. I think what makes sense is to have the investigation that's going on by Mueller right now. That makes sense. But then,
do you believe that President Trump obstructed justice when he told the former FBI Director James Comey that I hope that you can let this thing with Michael Flynn go?
No, I don't think that would be a reason why he would be impeached. If he's impeached, it will be that there'll be some connection with Donald Trump and his campaign working with the Russians to overturn, or excuse me, to
Have you seen any evidence of that?
Influence elections. Oh, I mean,
sure.
I think.
Have you seen evidence of any collusion between the Russian government or agents of the Russian government and the Trump campaign?
Well, first off, we know they interfered with our elections, so that's a given. Now, I'm not losing sleep that they interfered with our election, because we interfere with their election, we interfere with other elections. So I don't want to be hypocritical about it. But the question is, why were there secret meetings with Russians before and after the election? Why is Donald Trump so oblivious to the fact that they were influencing our election and seems not concerned about it? Those, you know, when you open a closet door and money falls over you, and you say, nope, just nothing here but money, you don't say, well, you shouldn't look at it. We should look at it, and then we should determine if it's accurate.
But what about? Sure, but what about President Trump's contention that the FBI director told him 3 times that he personally was not under investigation? And, you know, even Dianne Feinstein has said, the senator from California, has said that she's seen no evidence of collusion with the campaign.
Well, they've seen none, and so the question is, ultimately, will there be evidence that proves it? And if not, they'll do it. But let them do their investigation. That's what they should do.
So, Congressman, you've said that you believe that President Trump is clueless about government, how the legislative process works.
It's so sad. It's so sad.
So what advice would you give him to try to turn this presidency around?
You know, I don't, that's a great question. I want him to be honest. I want him to be straightforward. I want him to allow the investigation to go forward without him being preoccupied with that. I want him to do his job. I want him not to...
Would you tell him to get off Twitter?
Oh, absolutely. Well, excuse me. No, I don't want to say that. I think he has a right to use Twitter to get his message out without having to just go all the time through the press. So I just like him to be thoughtful about what he says. That would be my recommendation.
Well, the former FBI director, he testified to Congress that it was because of Donald Trump's tweet that he went and released this memo through a friend to the New York Times, which the former FBI director said he hoped would trigger a special counsel, which it did.
Right.
So the question to you is, the question that many people have is, do you think that a lot of the buzzsaw that President Trump is running into is his own making?
Oh, absolutely. It's his own making, and it's very sad. You know, I mean, let me just make this point. When you're on an airplane, you pray for the pilot. I don't want him to fail. I want our government to do well. I would like him to succeed doing constructive things. But you know, when he flies a plane to the right and to the left and up and straight down, you get a little nervous, and I'm nervous.
Yeah, so in order for him to, you know, do the right things, as you're saying, he also needs a cooperative Congress. And so far, we've seen the Democratic Party being very obstructionist when it comes to trying to work with Republicans on Obamacare, for example, trying to reform that. So, you know, what needs to happen there? Well,
are you surprised when he goes to a convention and he encourages people to yell, lock her up, lock her up? I mean, people are going to start to say that about...
But don't Democrats have to put on their big boy pants, too, and get to the
yeah, but let me make my point. My point is, he can't complain about this when he was so active in doing the very things the Democrats were doing. So he's a misguided voice when he complains about it, because he set the tone. Donald Trump is everything my parents taught me not to be and everything we taught our daughter not to be. That's the reality. So now, having said that, would it be nice if Democrats and Republicans worked together? One of the challenges is, since 2010, 70% of the members of Congress have been elected since 2010, and they've never seen cooperation among the parties. And even the staffs don't cooperate. So yes, I think both sides need to grow up and work with each other. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Congressman, we really appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.